That's all we want for our children and ourselves.
Our day-to-day activities have an impact on our families, our jobs, and society.
But within a few minutes, an accident can change everything.
Accidents are not caused by fate or bad luck. They're caused by poor design, unenforced safety rules, or human mistakes.
The National Safety Council was created to teach people how to prevent accidental deaths and injuries and reduce the chance of illness.
This is the Council's mission.
Protecting life and promoting health.
Welcome to Safe Talk. I'm Ann Charles, Public Relations Manager for the Data Monroe chapter of the National Safety Council. Our guests for the show today are Anat Schwartzbaum, who is a NETS coordinator at the Data Monroe chapter National Safety Council, and Carlos Aguiluz, who is from Coral Gables Fire Department's Special Response Team. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Our show today is going to focus on the program Network of Employers for Traffic Safety and also a mock crash by the Coral Gables Fire Department. As both of you know, more than 43,000 people died in motor vehicle crashes last year throughout the United States, and we know that it's a large problem also for our workforce because it's the #1 killer of employees. Anat, I'd like for you to explain the program Network of Employers for Traffic Safety into the real-life situation of accidents. We hear about the economic loss of accidents, and we also hear about the lives that are lost. But more importantly, we have to think about the tragedy that faces not only the family but the friends, and we have people within our community who are out there to help us and save many lives. At the kickoff for the NETS program at the Miami Herald, we had a mock crash demonstration by the Coral Gables Fire Department, and Carlos Aguiluz was there, and he's going to explain to us what happens as the emergency response team arrives upon an accident, and then also we're going to show a video. But first, Carlos, I would like for you to explain what our viewers are about to see and what are the first things that you do as you approach an accident scene.
Okay. What we're going to be watching is a simulated rollover, a one-car accident, where we're going to go through what the EMS personnel would do on that particular type of response. The first thing we would do on the call, of course, would be to stabilize the scene, meaning look for some type of hazard such as down power lines or fuel spills. Next, we would stabilize the vehicle, and then we would get into stabilizing the victim.
Okay, then we're going to show the video right now, and Carlos is going to explain to us what we're viewing.
Okay, what you see here is what we call the inner and outer circle survey. One firefighter is looking underneath the car, inside the vehicle for the degree of entrapment, while another firefighter is doing an outer circle survey, looking for any ejected passengers, any walking wounded, or any other types of hazards. We're looking for down power lines. First is for the safety of the victim as well as the rescuer. Taking the car off its suspension system by placing them on this different type of cribbing, as we call it, will stabilize the car and allow for minimal movement. During this time, you see one firefighter stands right near as close to the victim as possible, comforting him, letting him know that we're doing everything possible to get him out of that vehicle as soon as possible. You notice nobody touched that car until it's fully stabilized, at which point we would then try to get a rescuer inside. This type of scenario, or with any type of auto accident, we always assume that there's some type of head or spinal injury, so one of our priorities is to stabilize that victim's neck, immobilize that neck. You see other firefighters going to get equipment here. The IC, the incident commander, stands away from the scene, and he is the one that's giving all the instructions. We don't freelance. We pretty much have a plan that the IC develops as we're going along, and the goal is to free that victim enough to remove him from the vehicle in a safe manner. You see in this case, the glass shattered. stabilizing the victim, about to apply the stiff neck there. While you have these rescuers inside the vehicle, you have other personnel doing the work on the cars, preparing glass that might be broken, that might need to be broken. Also getting equipment ready, such as the hydraulic tools or the jaws of life ready to be used. That's the incident commander at the front of the vehicle. You see a firefighter pulling away the rubber molding from around the front windshield. Under normal circumstances, like I said before, the only thing we'll need to do is basically remove that patient in a safe manner, but that usually isn't done so easily if he's entrapped by, or he or she is entrapped by, the steering wheel, the steering column, or the roof itself, if they're pinned in by the door. So those are things we have to take in consideration, while taking in consideration also the safety of the rescuer. This is the jaws of life hydraulic tools here. We have hydraulic spreaders and hydraulic cutters. Okay, what we're doing here is we're going to probably start removing the A-post of the vehicle, flapping that roof back. The reason for removing a roof in this particular case is, although it may not be resting on that victim's head, or it may not be trapping that victim inside, what we'll do is allow air inside for the rescuers as well as the victim, and also give them more room to work in. You see there, that's a 300 psi air chisel, which is basically, it's one of the better tools that we have nowadays, along with the hydraulics. See, at this point, I think we've already cut the A-post. You see it there, it's released. Everybody's working on this. You see this guy on this side of the car is supporting the roof here, so it doesn't come down. It does no good if we cut all the posts on this roof and don't support it. It could come down on the victim. You see them lifting, getting it out of the way. You see a blanket in front of the victim is because while we're breaking glass, there's a lot of flying glass inside the vehicle, so you protect them by just throwing a blanket over them and informing them of what you're doing. It's very noisy inside that car with the generator running, the air chisel. There's a lot of commotion, so if you can let that victim know that everything's going to be okay and we're going to get them out of there as soon as possible, it really does help. At this time, what we're doing here is we're spreading the door, or the hinges on the door, to remove that door off the vehicle. Time is important, of course. We want to try to get that victim out as soon as possible, but again, we can't just rush in there and yank him out of the car. We have to do things in a safe manner. Okay, as you can see, the roof is already flapped and it's being held back with some rope. We've removed that door. At this point, if that victim is pinned in with by the steering column or steering wheel, we would relocate that steering column, pulling up on it. What you see here is this is called the hydraulic ram. We use this to push up on the dashboard. Okay, the incident commander at this point is having one of the rescuers prepare the ram to push up on the dash. This is very common that automobile accident victims are trapped not only like the roof, the door, or the steering column. It's very possible that if they were not wearing seatbelts, they might have just slid right underneath that dash. Now you see, this is already after we've done the push on the dashboard with the rams. You can see the difference there. I think they'll show it from the side, and you'll see how much more room we have now to remove that patient. This time the victim's stabilized, the neck is immobilized. We have an IV going. Okay. There you see the difference that made. Had that steering column been pinned down on that victim's legs, there'd be really no other way but to push that dash. Okay, this victim is now being ready to be removed. Here again, we have to work as a team. One person assumes the position of being the leader at the head. This person makes the call on when to remove the victim, keeping that head in line, and that neck protected. Work as a team, remove them. You see his neck is immobilized. He'll be taped to this backboard and be ready to put on a helicopter. It's very important to keep somebody talking to this victim, even if it is one of the rescuers, letting them know what's going on. The less movement in that victim, the better it is for us. It's easier for us to work on, and also prevents a lot of additional neck injury or head injuries that they may incur trying to remove themselves from the vehicle. Or you see the helicopter's ready.
Carlos, I think by seeing that and you talking us through the mock crash demonstration, it gives us a much greater understanding and maybe also an appreciation for the work that you all do, not only at your fire department, but at fire departments throughout the county. Our system now, our emergency response has become so advanced, and really it's people like yourself that are helping save lives. Also, one thing I did want to mention to our viewers is that Coral Gables Fire Department Special Response Team has been recognized nationally and internationally for the fine work that they do. So we were pleased to have you at our next kickoff, because it helps our attendees visualize what it's like to come upon an accident scene and the type of work that you do. One of the things that you mentioned in the video was that in any accident, we have to assume that there's either a head or spinal cord injury. So if you're the first person to come upon a scene of an accident, and I'm saying, when I say a person, I'm talking about an average person, not someone that has some sort of medical training, what is the best thing for us to do?
Okay, the key thing is to activate the EMS system. The way you do that is you see an emergency, you see an automobile accident. Your instincts tell you to go over there and assist. The first thing you need to do is call 911. The sooner the fire department, fire rescue gets there, the better off that victim's going to be. So you need to, either you yourself, as soon as you see something like that, go make that phone call, or you find somebody right there in that area close by and you tell them, go call 911 and come back and tell me what they said. Once you do that, you've really got the ball rolling to get this person to the hospital as soon as possible.
So 911 is the most important, and then really it's like leave it to the experts for the actual treating the victim.
There could be hazards that you're not aware of. Again, down power lines, a very common vehicle accident is vehicle versus light pole power lines down on the car. You touch that car and that's pretty much going to be it. Also gasoline spills. So the best you can do is activate that EMS system and then go back and try to let the victim know that help is on their way, okay, and for them to stay calm, that we're going to get them out of there as soon as possible.
One thing that I notice in Dade County, and I'm sure it's true in most urban cities, is when there is an accident, of course, the traffic's going to back up. And sometimes the traffic is what hinders the response team from getting there quicker. And we all know that the quicker the professionals get there, the quicker the person is going to be treated and then hopefully is going to save their life. What suggestions do you have for drivers if they see the emergency response team or trucks coming behind them? What is the best thing that they are supposed to do?
Okay, if we're coming up behind you, let's say you're driving along and you see us in your rearview mirror, you hear us, you're taught to go to the right, veer off to the right. At times that may be impossible. You might have to use some common sense. If there is no way for us to move on the left, say a concrete barrier dividing the two lanes to the left, we're not going to be able to go that way. We may signal you to move to the left. In that case, just don't panic. Give us room. If possible, veer to the right. If not, we'll let you know to go left and just use common sense.
I'm glad that you said that because I think that's one of the things that so many times we say in safety it's common sense, but that really can help because too many times you do see an emergency vehicle that just can't get through traffic. So hopefully people will exercise their common sense on that. But another thing is, which you didn't mention, what about if a person stopped at a red light? Sometimes I'll see that they won't, either move out of the way or proceed with caution through the red light if there's no other traffic to let the vehicle go.
Right.
Is that another thing that they should do?
Well, there again, when we're approaching an intersection, we have our sirens on all the time during a call, during a run, but we have air horns that we're blowing. So people going in the intersecting across from you, let's say you're at that red light, hear it also, and they're starting to look around. If you just real slow, ease into it. You don't want to just accelerate right into the middle of the intersection. Somebody may not be aware of you doing that. If you could just, again, using common sense is move to the right, try to just give us enough space to get into that intersection. If that means if you have to go into the middle of the intersection using, safe methods, then that would be enough for us.
One thing I noticed in the video, and of course it was a mock crash and it was, staged, but you would notice how shattered the windshield was. And for some reason, there are still people out there that won't wear their safety belts. When you come upon a scene and you look at the car, can you automatically tell? I would imagine you can if the person is wearing their safety belt or not. And what are the different types of injuries that you would see just right at the scene if they're not wearing their safety belt?
Okay, we call it a spider on the windshield, from windshield, which is usually a person not wearing their seatbelt on impact is going to be thrown forward. Times in that accident, you saw the windshield was completely shattered. The spider that I'm talking about is just one little crack that has little lines running out from it, and that usually is an indication to us that that person wasn't wearing their seatbelt. Also, a distorted or bent steering wheel is an indication that person wasn't wearing a seatbelt either.
Are you also noticing injuries with people who have airbags in their car and not wearing safety belts? I'm sure it's a different type of injury, but do you notice that as well?
Yes, people are starting to rely on this airbag as their number one restraint, and it's not. It's supplemental to the seatbelt. The seatbelt is still the number one restraint system for a vehicle. And if people would just understand that the airbag is a very good option to have in your car, but that's what it is. It's supplemental. It's not supposed to replace the seatbelt.
The other thing I want to add is when we're on the subject of seatbelts is also the type that's an automatic restraint that people have to remember to buckle up the lap belt because the shoulder harness alone is not going to help them.
Exactly.
They need both, and I'm sure you see injuries like that as well.
Exactly. That shoulder harness, how do you release that shoulder harness? By opening the door. Well, on a rollover, your door may fly open. You're no longer in a seatbelt if all you have on is that harness because the door opens, you're out of a seatbelt. So you have to wear the lap belt too.
Sometimes I think if people saw what you see on a daily basis, that they'd be convinced to wear their safety belts.
Absolutely. It's very sad to see some of the things we see. Some are minor accidents and some are not. Some are very serious accidents involving children sometimes. It's funny, you'll see a person driving down the street with their seatbelt on, but they don't have their child in a seatbelt.
Well, I'd like to thank our guest today, Carlos Aguiles from the Coral Gables Fire Department, and Anat Schwartzbaum, who is the NETS coordinator at the Data Monroe Chapter National Safety Council. If you would like to become involved in the NETS program, please call us at the council and we would be happy to bring this great program to your corporation. We're pleased that you joined us for Safe Talk today.